Benny Bright Studio.
Oh na 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 na, tegemeo langu Yesu, Yesu. Tegemeo, tegemeo,
Yesu,
Yesu Kristo,
mwamba wangu na ngome yangu, sitokuacha milele, we Bwana, ukuu wako nitautangaza milele. Nitalihubiri neno lako jinsi ulivyonituma. Kabila zote wakujue wewe ni Mungu.
Tegemeo maishani,
tegemeo
ni Yesu, Yesu Kristo.
Yesu Kristo,
Suluhisho ya matatizo,
suluhisho la
msaada wa karibu.
msaada wangu,
Yesu,
nafasi yangu moyoni mwako, moyoni mwako, Yesu.
Yesu, nikiwa nawe mi mshindi. We ulishinda kifo na hata mauti, misukosuko ya dunia kamwe hainiwezi. Silaha zote zimeshindwa zilizo kinyume nami.
tegemeo maishani,
Tegemeo
ni Yesu, Yesu Kristo.
Yesu Kristo,
Suluhisho ya matatizo, msaada wa karibu.
msaada,
Yesu,
mpe
nafasi
nafasi moyoni mwangu, moyoni mwangu.
Tafuteni Yesu mandamu apatikanapo, acheni tafuta miujiza, tafuteni huyu Yesu. Mali na vyote Yesu ndiye anayemiliki.
tegemeo maishani,
Tegemeo
ni
la
Yesu, Yesu Kristo.
Yesu,
Suluhisho ya matatizo, msaada wa karibu.
msaada wa karibu,
Yesu, nafasi
moyoni mwangu, moyoni.
tegemeo maishani,
Tegemeo,
ni
tegemeo,
Yesu,
Yesu Kristo,
suluhisho ya matatizo,
matatizo yote,
msaada wa karibu.
msaada wangu,
Yesu,
mpe
nafasi
nafasi moyoni mwangu, moyoni mwangu. Mpe Yesu. Oh na na na. Du, 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 du.
You're like a circle that floats around me, keeping me safe and sound.
Reverend Justus Mutuku is an ordained pastor. He is a Master of Divinity in Theological Studies with Africa International University, formerly NEXT. He has a Bachelor of Theology with Kenya Methodist University. He has a Diploma in Bible and Theology with Moffat College of Bible. Currently, he is a chaplain, Kabarak University, Nakuru County, Kenya. Reverend Justus Mutuku is a family man, married to Pastor Lillian, and blessed with 3 children, Caleb, Joy, and Joshua. Grab a copy of his best-selling books in the market today, The Voice of God in a Troubled World.
Luke 10:38. As Jesus and his disciples were on their way, he came to a village where a woman named Martha opened a home to him. She had a sister called Mary who sat at the Lord's feet listening to what he said. And Martha was distracted. If you can underline that one word, Martha was distracted by all the preparations that had to be made. She came to him and asked, "Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to do the work by myself? Tell her to help me." "Martha, Martha," the Lord answered, "you are worried and upset about many things." I want you to underline the next phrase. "But only one thing is needed. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken from her." I wondered what to share with the choir in such a setting, and what came to me is the issue of distraction. There's nothing in life as challenging as when you are distracted by what you do and what you love. There's nothing as challenging as when your distraction becomes your spouse, your distraction becomes your own children, your distraction becomes what you love doing, the ministry that you love. I shared earlier on that my wife and I were victims here in the year 2001. None of you knew this. The former pastor Colin Densham knew this because we shared at a very close range. But for 1 year we were distracted by trying to seek acceptance. And we would run up and down to make sure people were happy with our new ministry, only to discover we were punishing our physique, our emotions, and not growing until we retreated and discovered the way up, the way different is different. The way to go up before the Lord is different from the way of pleasing men and women in every dimension. That is a real struggle. I say in life there is nothing as difficult as when you know where you want to go, you have the intention to go where you know you must go, you have the desire, but you are caught up, you are not advancing. That becomes quite a strenuous experience. Did you know that many of us are operating as spiritual hustlers? Did you know that many of us have been reduced almost to men and women who appear in houses like this, in God's house, but do have little connection with Jesus? Africa Inland Church, Kenya, and many other communities require something more than planning. We require something more than having great music teams. We require something more than having strong sermons. We require to realize that we need to remain alert. No wonder the Bible says, be self-controlled and alert in 2 Peter, because your enemy prowls around. A magazine called Christian Science Monitor carried out a story of a woman in the northern Greece. This was a story about a woman who was traveling on what they call an intercity bus with her own child. Sadly, this lady became so committed, so distracted by something along the way, and she was engaged in a phone call with someone, which was a long one. And that's why I say that it was a deep conversation on her cell phone, that she forgot two things. One, she forgot she had a destination to alight. And when she got there, when the driver got there, he stopped. The lady on the phone pulls out and forgets a 4-month baby still lying on the chair. After alighting, she notices something is not right after finishing the phone call, and she quickly realizes her mistake. And I said in the earlier service, when you are distracted, many times you begin hiring. She hired a taxi to chase that bus, and when she caught up with it, some 30 minutes afterwards, she still found her baby at the back seat of that bus, relaxed, crying, but okay. And many of us listen to that story and they can respond in 2 ways. One way is to say, what a horrible mother. What a horrible believer. The other way is to move in and say something like this. Oh, that's okay. It has happened to others, and it can happen to anyone. And sometimes when we think of it, sometimes we say it's not a big deal. She was like a mother like every other mother. But friends, this story illustrates something very important. That this woman was distracted from something that was very, very crucial and important in her life. And sometimes when you look at it, we all face temptations. Particularly as we walk on the planet Earth, we face a temptation to want to turn away or to turn our attention from what should matter most. Distractions. Actually, this story illustrates the power of distractions. The power of distractions. One of the biggest struggles on the planet Earth today, one of the agony people go through, is when they deal with these distractions that they may not exactly identify. And I repeat this again. I don't know how many of you have had dreams when you were growing where you would have a dream and see yourself being knocked by a car and you are trying to move away from the road and you are not moving. Anybody? Do you remember days you dreamed and the lorry is coming, you're on the road? Thank God it was a dream. And you are trying to run away, but you are not moving away and the lorry is coming. Anybody who dreamed water is coming and it's about to sweep you and you're not able to run? That is the kind of thing I know. When you know I'm supposed to be a musician, I'm supposed to be giving to the Lord's ministry, I'm supposed to be at this level, I know where I want to go, but somewhere something is holding you and you don't know what it is. I realized distractions are powerful because of 3 reasons. 1, distractions thrive by offering you a substitute. Distractions will first and foremost offer you something to take the place of what you appreciate. Distractors also thrive on offering you what we call attention grabbers. Things that will grab your attention. Then the other thing this uses is traps. Distractors use traps to keep you off, to trap you, to keep you off the right thing. And so I want you to keep in your mind, Jesus is already available for Martha and Mary, but one of them does not have time for these great men. One of them is busy holding to something that was valued in their culture. And let me ask you to keep aware of this. Pay attention. That's why 2 Peter is so critical for us. Be self-controlled and alert. Because your enemy, and Paul notes that again in Ephesians chapter 6 when he says the devil uses schemes to trap God's people. Why is this important? I want you to notice distractions may not be loud. They may not go shouting for everybody to see. Distractions may not be visible. You may not see them. Distractions may not be tangible, but distraction can be pervasive. You may be dealing with something that you don't know. Some of my hardest time as a pastor, I don't know your experiences, at the moment you are preaching and in the morning around 4, your son's temperature goes so high that the next thing you need is to be in an hospital. And at 10, you are delivering a sermon. Now, if you go with the spirituality of the day, you begin casting out demons. Shindo hii pepo, ninaikataa. Unajua naenda mahubiri leo. You know, it all depends on the spirituality status that you have. But I have found out sometimes it is true, certain things happen and you are distracted. Now, there are distractions caused by God to safeguard you. But there are distractions caused by the devil for you to miss out on God. One time I was driving home with my wife when we served here, 2004, and we had just received Joy, our daughter, very young. And my wife had cesarean operation for both. And we are just right after Machakos town. We are after Catalonia, and then we move a bit, and we had a very bad tire burst. Now, I was also taking food to my people because there was nothing at home in terms of mains. It was very dry. And when I had this bad tire burst, I was busy trying to say, hey, Jesus, I am a servant. The wife here is a servant. Watoto ni wa servant. Why are you allowing? And it was exactly at 9 p.m. So we stopped, and the first two people who came by just stopped, said, Ndugu, ukitaka uhai, toa gari hapo. And they proceeded. I knew we were in danger. But the level at which my tire was flat, there was no way I could move. Then, through this destruction, God brought 3 drunkard men. Have you ever been saved by the unexpected source? Have you ever seen God bring what you not expect? The 2 with a vehicle left, I'm down, my wife is still healing and holding a baby, and another one is sitting with a house girl, and the car is loaded with 90 kilograms bag of maize and everything you are taking home, and I'm out there, I can't lift it, no way I can do a jack. These 3 guys come lingering around saying, Messiah, tukusaidiaje? They didn't even tell me you are in a danger zone. They asked me tukusaidiaje. I said lifting this. They were almost lifting without a jack. Then I pulled the jack, they quickly pulled the maize and the maize sack and then fixed everything, and after 30 minutes I was ready to go. Little did I know God distracted me, because right ahead of me in a place called Makongo, the thugs were there attacking vehicles. There are times you need to know God is where you have never been and you can trust Him for your life. There are times you know He knows the dangers you may not see. Maybe you lost a pregnancy yesterday, but that pregnancy might have led you badly. Oh, I wish to ask you to appreciate Jesus with a clap. This is a God we love. There are those times He distracts you for His sake. But there are those times the devil brings destruction so that you may not benefit. I didn't make a prayer. You guys, you take a very special place in my heart. My daughter was diagnosed with a open heart problem right in this church. They needed money more than 500,000. People from nowhere came in, intervened. I had people walk to my house and they say, we pray against this operation, and the people prayed against it. And I was so disturbed with my wife. We didn't know what to tell God until that situation became our encouragement. People from nowhere paid 500 Kenya shillings for us. Not only that, but people from nowhere hosted us. And my daughter is now in Form 2, a tall, huge girl. Sometimes some things happen not to kill you, not to frustrate you, but there are destructions that are dangerous. And that's what I want to share about. Destruction that becomes dangerous. I will skip that statement by my brother Charles Spurgeon. But let me move on to say the most fundamental aspect of your Christian life. If you are going to be effective as a believer, it's not because you are a member of AIC Milimani, it's not because you are a pastor, it's not because you take a role in this church. The most important aspect of your life as a believer is to maintain a healthy spirituality. One that can sense God. One that can make you discern. One that can make you know God is at work. And I think the struggle is that we are hosting believers who are dry spiritually. We are hosting in churches believers who do not have care for their spirituality, but believers who take care of their health insurances, believers who take care of their students and their children insurances, believers who have constructed good places for residency, but believers who have neglected their spiritual health. And that is, they say, your spirituality is your vehicle for aligning yourself to God. That is the wing that connects you with your God. And if you are having a struggle with your spiritual life, with your spirituality, something will not be correct in terms of what you do. Choir members across, hear me well. It is dangerous to have immoral members singing, because choirs, music, has some strange grace of maintaining you when you are a sinner. I say that again without mincing my words. There is some grace, some strange grace that is always rolling inside the music, whether secular or sacred. The grace which is not from God, but grace that tends to make people, you can be messing terribly, but you can have some grace to smile here. Your husband, you messed him before you left the house, but when you put on the choir uniform, you gain some strange grace to smile. Anyone wanting to know that they need to stay firm, you need to know spirituality stands on 3 pillars. And that's the announcement Jesus is making. Anybody with a healthy spirituality stands on 3 pillars. Pillar number 1, there is no negotiation. You must have a relationship with the Master. That is the essence. You begin by becoming a member. And then 2, you have what we call commitment to what you do. This is what propelled Abraham. This is what propelled Moses. Irrespective of their weaknesses, they were having something I call spiritual health by also having an unwavering focus. Now, why am I mentioning that? Here is a problem. If you truly want a spirituality that works, one that will carry you beyond the normal activities, you need a relationship with the Master. You need a disciplined commitment. You need to move with what we call unwavering focus. But the challenge I find, and let me be honest with you, my biggest challenge is here. The challenge I find is at that point where I live my faith and practice my spirituality in a distraction-permeated context. I'm not free to walk around. I sit around men who want shortcuts. I sit around women who want shortcuts. I sit around the people and I feel like I am looking a bit funny. Why can't I tap this opportunity? And may the Lord have mercy on us. It's because I think we lose that consciousness because we are not aware that our context can always produce distractors. You are home, you are dressing, your colleague, you are sitting in position in this church can be a potential distractor. So that coming in mind, then we say such a context can easily be or can easily lead into what I call weak and misguided spirituality. Let me show you what that looks like. A weak and a misguided spirituality thrives on double dealing. A weak spirituality thrives on unhealthy compromise. Choir members, hear me well. It's not the songs, it is the heart of the musician. That's what Jesus is saying. It is not the songs, it is the heart. And I wonder what Bibles people are reading. Because when even someone was looking to anoint David's son, he went with the criteria that we use when we sit there. Oh, I love their uniform. Oh, I love the height. I love the soloist. But God says, no. Don't use the human criteria because it is misleading. I don't look at the outward appearance. I'm interested in the heart. Tell your neighbor the heart. And that's what I want you to notice. And so I hope, I pray for you. as a voice prayed, and they pray for us in the Kabarak, so that nobody will hold a microphone, whether announcing or doing anything, just to do a spirituality show. Show ground iko kule chini, tuende show iko kule. But this one is worship. Friends, let's differentiate the mentality of show. When you dress up in the morning, please don't dress up to show. Think about the heart. It is so critical. No wonder Jesus warned. This is what Jesus met in the home of mother. I want to close with that. Look at what happens in the house of mother. Jesus walks in, and the mother has a lifetime opportunity, a visit, not by another normal visitor. Mother has a lifetime opportunity. Friends, you don't know when you are dying. You may not be here next Sunday. I'm not a prophet of doom. But you have a lifetime opportunity to worship today, to lift up your hands, to honor Jesus, to jump for Jesus, to enjoy the presence of Jesus. A lifetime moment in the presence of Jesus. I wish I could talk about some of the men, Bob Collymore. I wish I could talk about Okoth. These things were happening close to you. I wish I can talk about many, many others. I wish they would have a moment to sit like you are sitting. But life comes, life goes. And it is important to notice, mother is unaware that she has a lifetime opportunity. And the lifetime opportunity presented is, she has a special visitor. Who is this visitor? Please go with me. He's not another visitor. This is not another passerby. Jesus is not just a mere visitor. Jesus is actually God in totality walking in your house. It is God in full walking in your own room. It is God divinely packaged sitting in your sitting room. And you miss it. Oh, there's a song Ukambani they love singing. I wish I can sing it. But I hear it in English too. God is here and would like to bless us. Tararam, tiraram. But sometimes I pity my community when we sing. You see, mtu ameimba ni mgonjwa tayari. Even the posture amesimama anakuambia shida zimenisumbua. Ngaieva. Na ako hapa. You cannot say God is here and you are looking like you are finished. I found that very interesting. We sing, God is here, and some of us are like, when will this service end? I want you to think differently as you walk away from this church. This is not a routine ground. This is a meeting place with a divine maker of heaven and earth. Kindly remove that mentality. We are not coming to a huge building. I wish you would ask Mzee Sumbewa to show you the metallic seats that used to come from President Moi, and we sat in very cold weather, even downstairs. You remember those days? We were sitting on metallic chairs. People may not know when you sit up on this huge building, it's not about the building, it's about the honor we are coming to meet. I think there's a song they sing, let's forget about ourselves and concentrate on Jesus. How do you miss such an opportunity? I look at it this way, Pastor. If he's in your house, it means healing is in your house. Milango iliyofunguka imefunguka. Because he doesn't, and you have a track record of this man. Because whenever he went and there was a situation, his presence merely commanded things into being. Mary should have been like Solomon. Nataka niwe na wisdom, haijawahi patikana duniani hii. But what is mother doing? She does what many of you are doing today. You know what mother is doing? Jesus confirms, I and the Father are one, therefore the full deity is with you. You need nothing. Because the man you need to pray is here. Pray me now. Actually, what I found interesting, I was looking at mother, and this is what I found Reverend Kilwa. She responded to an opportunity given, to a divine opportunity, inappropriately. You can be handed opportunity by God, but respond to it by running a program. By the way, while I'm running a program, I do that. You have seen me in the media do that for Kabarak. One of the hardest things to do on the planet Earth is to be a programmer. Because you rarely pay attention to God. Not because you don't want, but because people are stepping on you. Kwaya yaimba, squeeze hii kwaya mali, squeeze hii ingine. Please don't love to be MCs. How many of you want to be MCs? A program. Please run away from that business. Pastor Rachel, usijaribu kukumbali uambiwe kuwa moderator. Na sukuma kidogo unaambiwa, excuse me, najua kwaya Jericho haijaimba wimbo ya pili na muliwaita. Excuse me, unajua. And I can imagine Mary with that opportunity. But I want you to notice this. First, she sought to treat God. And the many of us are here to treat God. You know this culture of treating people because they came. She just said, let me treat this man. Keti kwa kiti huko. Yes, have a seat. Enjoy. The television is on. Put it on. You can select the cartoons or the programs. And she's addressing the maker of heaven. The life giver is in your house. And she goes to the kitchen. And sometimes you can be wanting to be recognized you spoke a good sermon. Pastors, may the Lord have mercy on us. Especially where you work with the multiple pastors. May the Lord handle it. I know what it means to work in multiple pastors. Did I deliver? I pull out of the pulpit and I'm asking you, mmesikiaje nimeinguza aje? Do I need you to confirm what I'm saying? I heard it when you were sleeping. And I'm releasing what I heard. And you can't convince me how to release it. It is him who tells me what to say. And in this showcasing, Mary begins. And I've gone to some, sorry to say this, Chairman, I've gone to many, kuna wave imeinuka inaitwa worship night, worship experience. Na iko kwa wingi, kwanza kwa vijana wa university imetulemea. It's after every 2 months they want it. And I realized most of them don't want it because they are looking for God. It is because of what it does for their emotions and their feelings. We'll have a whole night of just enjoying ourselves. In fact, I've noticed, even Jesus comes to some of these meetings and steps in and he walks around and nobody can know he is there because he's so irrelevant in what is happening. But where he is, things happen differently. So let's close with this one statement. Mother was terribly distracted. Jesus will always become. Tell your neighbor, Jesus will be good to you. When he saw what mother was doing, look at what he responded. She came and saying, don't you see? You know, sang. Ni kama mtu anakuja anasema, wani vile wamebebana program. Na nyinyi mnakaa mnakunywa maji hapo tu. Si muje mtusaidie. You know? And I'm seeing Mary found something interesting. When she saw Jesus, let me tell you, the difference between you and Mary is only one. Mary did not miss her point. She noticed Jesus ahead of time. I wonder whether any of you notices Jesus. And when she noticed Jesus, you realize this is not a man to feed, he's the bread of life. This is not a man to give water, he's the water of life. How do you address water to the water? She simply walked to the water and sat. I mean, Pastor Rachel, how do you give the bread? Well, umekulisha mkate. Mkate umefika kwako alafu unaanza kuambia mkate tukatane ukule sasa mkate. Mary knew the secret and knew this one who has come, si mtu wa jikoni, si wa mkate, he is the mkate, he is the water. So what she did was to give us a theological forum of worship. And I will show you that quickly. Jesus says to this woman, you see, Jesus is not like a politician or our grandparents. When he walked in, he looked and said, Mother, sorry, Mother, you are worried and upset. Can you see when you lack God, you deal with worry and upset. Huyu amechukua muda mrefu, huyu anafanya nini hapo, huyu anarukaruka aje, huyu, you get upset. When you miss out on the core, you get upset. And Jesus says to her, only one thing is needed. I want to caution you. This story has been preached and read many times. But take note of Jesus' choice of words. He doesn't miss his words. First, he says, many things you are looking, but. Now, if you do your English well, but is a conjunction. And a conjunction, kazi yake, is used to introduce a clause or a phrase contrasting with what has already been said. You are bothered about many things, but. And I guess, sang, Yesu akiingia hapa kuanzia mimi, he might have a big but. Okumu umeongoza ibada, but. Mutuko you preached, but. You know? And that is where I really watch my life. Because it's not how I deal with you. It's when I leave, Jesus will tell me the sermon was good, people wrote the points, but. Contrasting. And then I like this. He says only. Have you ever thought about that word? If you look at your English dictionary, the word only is used as an antiverb. Jesus is very choosy in what he's doing. And an antiverb expresses the idea that no one or nothing else besides what I say. Mary, mother, you are busy, but only. In other words, what I'm about to tell you is not subject to negotiation. There is nothing besides it. You either take it or perish. And then I like the word one. You all know one. One first is a number. Tell your neighbor it's a number. Obviously it's a number. But the second thing we know, it is the lowest cardinal number. After it you go to fractions and decimal points. But in terms of numbers, there is only one. It's just like saying this. Na Wakenya tunaka ujinga kengine, Mungu atusaidie. Unaingia matatu unaambiwa there is only room for one person, unauliza ninaweza ingia tu na dada yangu. Na umeshaambiwa there is only room for one. Hiyo ofisi iko na kazi ya mtu mmoja, lakini Kenyans ninaweza ingia tu na Pastor Luke. I really love him. Please to squeeze in somewhere. Jesus is telling mother, please, the business you are doing is wrong. You need only one thing. Don't tell me about the utensils. Don't tell me about the choir. Don't tell me about the uniform. I only want you to know one thing is important. Allow me to show that one thing, and then we participate. And when it's used as a noun, one refers to a specific kind. There is only one. Take note of that. And finally, I love Jesus. He said that one thing is needed. Now, that's a verb, and that verb, look at the adjectives and adverbs and the verbs carrying the weight, and it simply says one thing is needed. In other words, one thing is necessary. It's an obligation. It's not a request. It's not what I call a negotiation. And the point he makes is this: Jesus says only one thing is not supposed. If we used those three words, we would change the meaning. If we told mother, only one thing is supposed to be, that leaves a room for negotiation. But when he says only one thing is needed, he's not saying one thing is wanted, expected, or needed of you. Wanted of you. He says simply, it is needed. Church, tell your neighbor, one thing is needed. Mwangalie umwambie, not expected. And I wish I can count all of them. People need to read their Bibles well. Jesus is very clear in his mind what he's selecting. It is not a requirement. It is not an expectation, because you can negotiate an expectation. But when it is a need, when we counsel married people, we tell them issues of bedrooms are not a want. Those are needs. When you don't meet a need, you disrupt a whole system. When you overlook a want, you can continue, but not a need. And he says, I will leave that. I like this. This is where we close. One thing is, Jesus is saying four things. It is one, it is the only, it is core, and it matters most. Can I give you the answer to that? I know many of you are waiting for that. We didn't do it for Kiswahili. What is it? I'm going to surprise you like I was surprised by scripture. Jesus is simply saying, I am not looking for sandaka. I'm not looking for spiritual gifts. I'm looking for one thing. Before my presence, sit. Secondly, before my presence, listen. And before my presence, experience. That is why we come to church. We sit. Now, the Jewish culture of sitting was a posture of those who were being instructed. When you are standing, we are not instructing you. I wonder whether in your heart you could be standing or you are seated. And then he says, sit, listen, experience. Jesus is interesting. And Mary, your sister, has found it. Look at her, what she's doing. What is Mary doing? She's sitting, listening, and experiencing God. That is my desire for where I see Melimani. You walk in, you don't see a Kalenjin, you don't see a Luo, you don't see a Kamba, you don't see a Kikuyu. You just walk in the morning, no matter who holds the mic next to you, but in the presence of God, you sit, listen, and experience. That area of experience is where the blessings are. And that is exactly, Jesus is telling Mother, let nothing unseat you. That's my prayer for the church. Let nothing unseat you from what has eternal value and significance. Let not the choir unseat you from pursuing God. Let not the music unseat you from pursuing God. Let nothing, my brother Amos, unseat you. I mean, what is happening with gospel artists in Kenya today? Even in Ukambani? May the Lord have mercy. The Kalenjins, what have I seen? All our gospel artists come out, but they lack pastoral care and attention. And what is happening? They are thrown into the arena of politics. They are poured with money, and the money unseats them from the glory, and they begin going where money is coming. And if you invite them to come to Milimani, they tell you, how much are you paying? Simply because they don't know they have been unsat from their seat. One time we were here with a former pastor, senior pastor, and somebody walked in 2006 na akatushangaza, akaingia tu akatuambia, a gospel artist, sitasema jina, akatuambia kuna form here. Before I go up to sing, you've got to sign, you are paying me 10K. And then I will sing and sell my tapes. We looked at each other. And let me tell you, there is nothing as bad as a pastor who has been unsat from the glory of God. There's nothing as bad as a choir that has lost what is of eternal value. A choir that does not do devotions, a choir where they come and they begin laughing around, they begin dancing, no prayer, no Bible study, it's not going to go far, my friends. You must always remember, praise and worship is not about holding a microphone, it's about connecting with the most important thing. Sit, listen, experience. Everybody go with me. One more time. I'm sure, Pastor, if we do that, if our choirs become that, we will have no disciplinary cases with the choir. We will have no disciplinary cases with the Sunday school teachers. But what are we doing, Kieti? Every other time, choir hii inalalamika hii, because kuna watu pale ndani agenda yao ni wrong, na wamebebwa na music. But I say this again to the church. Never let anything unseat you from what is of eternal value and eternal significance. And that is what God says today. Let music not unseat you. Let money not unseat you. Let nothing unseat you for whatever you do. Mother simply taught, it's a choice you have to make. It's a decision. It's a resolve. From today, purpose, I am going to stop everybody. By the way, have you ever read anywhere whether, Mitei, I've seen you preach a lot. Do you suspect mother left the kitchen? Guess? Theologians wako hapa, hatuna theological guesswork. Do you suspect mother finally left the kitchen? That's for you to think through. We might speak today, but many of you might not leave the kitchen. May I pray that none of you in AIC Milimani will be busy with anything else except him crucified. You will never handle finance issues if men and the women in the council are about Jesus. We will never handle immoral issues among the teenagers and the Sunday school if men and the women of Christ are about Christ. One more time. Sit, listen, experience. One more time. Let me say that you're a good student. Only one thing, mother, is needed. What is it? But you don't sit to listen to politicians. The Bible there says, sit and listen to the Lord. She sat and she was listening to the words of the Lord. Let us pray.
Oh na 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 na, tegemeo langu Tegemeo, tegemeo